Hello and welcome. You are listening to the DDDA Diets podcast. I am your host, Lorna, certified food freedom coach and founder of the DDDA Diets Academy. I've spent 10 years in an unhealthy relationship with food, binge eating, over-exercising, and feeling insecure in my body. This podcast is all about helping you get to the root of your food struggles and teaching you how to rewire your brain so you can end binge eating. If you're ready to improve your relationship with food and cultivate more self-love towards yourself and your health, this is the podcast for you. So let's get to it and jump right in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the DDDA Diets podcast. I just got off a session with my client inside of the DDDA Diets Academy, and she just shared her experience in the academy, all the wins that she's been able to experience, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear. This one client is truly an action taker. Like, she came in, she was so ready for a solution. She was so open to a new approach. She was so receptive to all of the tools that I shared with her. Anytime I would make a recommendation and, give her a suggestion of what she can do to feel less impulsive or to heal her body image or to respect her body or to stop her nighttime eating, she implemented right away. And you're going to hear her share, but, one of the best things that she shared was the reason that she was so open and so trusting of this process is because she trusted in me and she knew that I was somebody who's gone through this. And when you have somebody that knows what it's like, who's conquered binge eating, who has lived experience with binge eating, it's so much easier to go all in and to utilize the tools because you know that they're gonna work. And she even mentioned, like the first few weeks, she's tried like a few different tools. And then when she decided about 3 weeks in, she decided, she's like, you know what? There are certain tools that I'm not using and I'm going to use them. Like, I'm in this program for a reason. I'm ready to heal my relationship with food. I'm ready to conquer binge eating. Like, I am going to dedicate the time. I'm going to dedicate the energy, and I'm going to show up for myself, and I'm going to utilize the tools. Like, they're going to change my life. And her life has transformed. And, I just can't wait for you guys to hear her and have her share her experience because, she's made such incredible progress. And even though, the past few weeks she's had to move back in with her parents because she got a new job, like even then, she's still utilizing the tools. She has the tools in her back pocket and she just come such a long way. So I'm so excited. And one thing that she really said, you're going to hear her say, she said, if I don't invest in my health now, like I'll never get better. So I'm ready to dive in. Like, I need the academy. Like, I'm ready for that high level support. I'm ready for that personalization. I'm ready to go all in. And people like that always see the best results because they have such good intentions. They're not looking for a quick fix. This client was done with quick fixes. She came to me because she wanted a sustainable solution. She didn't want another quick fix that would give her, a few binge-free days. Like, she wanted to end this for good, and she's come so far, and I'm so proud of her. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and welcome my client, Pam, on the podcast. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much
for coming on. I'm super excited. I always get super excited when obviously we get time to celebrate you. We'll get time to celebrate all the things, all the wins that you've been able to experience. But thanks for just like taking time to just come and hang out. It just means so much to me. And I know everyone listening is just going to be so grateful that you're going to share, your experience and anything that's been really helpful for you. It really does make a huge difference. So thank you for taking time.
Oh, that's all. Thank you for having me. Thank
Of
you.
course, yeah. So let's go way back. I know you first started with me with the Break the Late Night Binge. And what made you even want to get support? Like, what initially made you recognize, like, I'm having an unhealthy relationship with food, like, I need support? Like, what was that initial pull or that initial feeling in your body?
It was a feeling of hopelessness. It was sort of recognizing this pattern of behavior in myself that had been going on for I want to say years, that I had been struggling with for a long time. And I kept, trying to change up my diet and trying to change up things and say, like literally, it's like words out of your mouth. I just need more discipline. I just need to have some control. It's all about my portions and all the rest of it. And I followed you on social media for such a long time, and just seeing you share your own story, it was literally like this. She's been through exactly what I'm going through. This is my life, and that was the first time I think ever that I didn't feel alone. Um, and I think I teetered on the edge for a while, didn't I? I messaged you a couple of times, and like I wanted to commit, but then I was like, oh, I don't know if I could afford it. And for such a long time, I struggled with like spending money on myself. And I now realize that should be a priority, because you're never going to get any better.
Yeah.
You can't help anyone else. You can't help yourself if you don't make that investment. So yeah.
Yeah. It's a huge realization. And I remember, like, even after you did Break the Late Night Binge and you were wanting to join the academy, I remember you kind of saying the same thing. You're like, I don't know if, like the finances, but like you're like, I realize, like, if I don't actually invest in my health now, like not much is going to change.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So now that you obviously joined the academy and you completed the academy, like, what would you say to even like that past self? Like, now you've actually gone through it and you've experienced a transformation. Like, what would you have said to your past self?
I would have shaken myself for taking so long to commit, but I also would have just said, like, at the moment I've signed up, just like, you have no idea how much your life is about to change. Um, yeah, just congratulations on, the first step on this incredible journey, and the rest of your life. Yeah, it would just be a huge, you know, just yeah, just wow.
Yeah.
This is it. This is going to be huge.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, I always say this, I'm like, I wish I can like take my clients to like the end destination and be like, this is what you're going to experience. Like, just trust the process. Like, I know where you're going to be in a few months if you just commit and you do this. And like, you were brave enough to lean into that, and you were so courageous to take that step, because not everyone does, right? People say, I want to change, people say, I want to heal my relationship with food, but you actually did that for yourself. And to this day, I'm still so proud of you. And let's celebrate some wins. Like, what do you want to share? Like, what are some wins? Obviously, every single call, I'm like, what are some wins? So, what any wins you want to share, like throughout the program, or even wins that you're experiencing now that you'd like to share?
Yeah. I think my biggest wins really have been sort of body image, self-confidence kind of things. I was someone who had to track all day, every day. I had to weigh myself every day. I was obsessed with just this number. I can't tell you the last time I weighed myself now. I don't track anything anymore. Some days I eat more than others, but that's okay. There's just this huge sort of weight that's been lifted. I have so much more time and energy for my friendships, my relationships, my career. because I'm not obsessing over a number on the scale. Like, yes, I'll be honest, I have put on a little bit of weight, but it's probably what I needed to put on anyway. So yeah, little ones like that, being able to prepare a meal without taking a half an hour to put it in my fitness pal first, or being able to, like today it's Christmas, someone brought in festive muffins at work, and I didn't automatically go, no, I can't have that. I said, I'll see how I feel. If I want it, I'll have it. And you know what? I had it. It was bloody delicious. So
So
yeah,
good.
yeah, that's
Oh, I love
yeah.
that so much. And I love that you mentioned about like just so much more time for friendships and relationships and just like so much more time in your day, because it is true. Like how many hours, spending in my fitness pal tracking and weighing, and even, weighing yourself or looking at the watch, like how many calories did I burn? Like it all is just so consuming. And I remember when you had those few days where you like didn't wear your watch and you're like, I just feel so much better. Like you didn't intentionally take off your watch, but you were like, I feel so much better not even knowing the numbers. And it's like when you get that glimpse of freedom and joy, it's like you almost think, how did I not live my life like this before? Like, how was I spending so much time tracking?
Yeah, exactly. I remember saying, like, I haven't worn my watch in a while, and you were like, well, duh, of course you
Yeah.
feel better.
Oh, I love it. That's so good. I know like that was like a huge win for you, because going from, like you said, tracking everything, tracking your weight, tracking my macros, like portions, all those things. Like I know it can just seem so scary, but again, you were so courageous and you did that. And something that I've noticed the entire time working with you is you've always been so receptive to change and so receptive to any suggestions that I give you. Like anytime, I would recommend, hey, why don't you try making a new snack? Or hey, why don't you not wear your watch? Or why don't you do this? They were always so open. And I'd love to hear what made you be so open in this process, because obviously like being open to change is why you are where you are today. So what helped you be open and just so willing to lean in, trust me, trust this process?
Well, there was a few things. One was the absolute fear of not changing anything and then having the same outcome.
Yeah.
I knew that if I wanted things to get better, then I had to make changes. Um, Two was, there's that part of me, I think it's a Scottish thing, but I was like, I paid for this, I'm bloody well gonna make the most of it.
Yep.
Um, the biggest things, honestly, was that if you could have told me to jump off a bridge and I would have did it, because I 100% believed in you and everything that you were saying. You every single coaching call, every single message, absolutely. There was never a question where you were like, "Oh, I don't know." You had an answer for everything. 9 times out of 10, you had personal experience with that exact situation. You never made me feel like any question was silly. You just, yeah, were so relatable, so open, so transparent. You told me, this isn't going to be easy. You didn't sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
There were times, I think, when I actually needed a bit of tough love, and you gave me that exact thing. So I just, every single week, every coaching call, and I think that was one of the huge things as well. Those calls every single week were sort of like a grounding moment. When we first started, that was the one night that I was like, right, I need to sit down and chill out and do this call, and then spend the evening working on myself. And then that became more and more, and it was like a routine, that check-in, it was just like an anchor.
Yep.
um it was safe, and it was comfortable. Well, it wasn't always comfortable, sometimes it was uncomfortable, but that was the point. It was somewhere where you could be completely open and exposed and vulnerable, and everyone was there for you. Everyone,
Yeah.
you know, if they didn't share your pain, then they held space for you. And
Yep.
that's really special.
Totally. And like you said, it's like, it's that constant momentum, right? Because when we're like trying to do things on our own, and if we have like a bad body image day or just a binge, it's like pity party, and we just like don't know how, like we don't know what to do. We don't know who to talk to. Like we can't just vent to our partners or parents about this. Like nobody gets it, right? So it's like you have that support, but then you also have like people cheering you on. And then it's just like you said, sometimes I needed to give you like tough love, like, you know, like let's utilize the tools. And then sometimes it's like, hey, I'm just reminding you, like, you've actually come so much further along than you think. Like, even when you moved, I'm like, I'm not even worried about you because you have so many tools in your tool belt now that, like, even if you do have a binge or even if you do overeat, it's like, you know how to snap back. You know, you know what to do when you feel the urge. Like you have all the tools and you come so far. So yeah, I love that you mentioned that. And then also you mentioned about like, I'm going to show up because I invested for this. And that is the biggest difference between like listening to a podcast and like being in a program. You know, it's like, it's, it's that commitment piece, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. What was your favorite part about the academy? Because obviously there's so many things, like there's a community, there's the coaching from me, there's all the different programs you get access to. Like what was your favorite part of the academy, and what was different about like my root and rewire process than like anything else that you've tried in the past?
I think, do you know what really struck me was just the abundance of material that was available. You
Yep.
know, there was never like an extended time period where like you weren't checking in on messages or posting in the groups, or there was coaching calls regularly. There was always an update. There was so much information on the academy when you were working through the modules, but then constantly as well. I mean, sometimes I struggle to keep up with how many sort of Facebook lives and Instagram videos and master classes and everything. I was like, which one do I listen to sometimes?
Yeah.
There was so much, and I was like, this is someone who gets me. And it's just, I'm sure you know yourself, when you spend so much time feeling so isolated and alone and miserable, and then all of a sudden you're welcome, and someone gets it, it makes so much difference. So that was it. Just, yeah, the absolute abundance of information, of love, of compassion, of joy from you and all of the women in the community. It really is. It took my breath away.
So good. Yeah, you know, like you said, it's like, you know, getting support from somebody who gets you, it's just like it's a whole different ball game. It's not like you're trying to explain what it's like after a binge. Like I know, like I get it. And then it's so much easier for me to coach you because like I think back to my journey. I'm like, what did I need? And I know like that's similarly like what you're gonna need, you know? So I love that. I love that so much. Um, one more thing. What do you think in your journey was like the pivotal moment for you? Because I feel like everybody has almost like a light bulb moment when things are changing. Like you see these little glimpses of freedom where you're like, oh, like I can't believe I was not able to act on that urge, or I can't believe I was able to eat without guilt. Like you see these little glimpses of freedom. And I feel like everyone kind of has like this breakthrough point where it's like, hold on, like I'm actually healing my relationship with food. Like I'm not binging anymore. Like what was that moment for you? Was there like one particular moment that you can remember, or like a few that you want to kind of share, or even just like one that you can distinctly remember?
Yeah, there was I mean, there were definitely quite a few moments on the way when I was like, wow, oh, this is working.
Yeah.
But I do remember, and I think actually the week before, one of the girls in the coaching call had mentioned it, and I hadn't watched the replay yet. But it was actually when I had a binge, and it was the first proper binge that I'd had in months, and I went, oh, it hasn't been like this in a long time, and I was like, oh, and then I was grateful for that one because it really sort of demonstrated to me just how much had changed and how much had taken effect, and it really hit home and made me be like, well, these methods are working, so stick with those
Yes.
and be open to them.
Yes.
And I remember as well, I was quite resistant to future pacing at first. Not because I didn't believe in it or I didn't want to do it, but just because my mornings are very, very hectic. And I just thought, I don't have the time for this. And I think I was about 3 weeks to a month into the program, and I hadn't future pace. I would say it in my head when I was walking my dog, but that is not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I was like, why did you pay for this if you're not going to do what she says? And as soon as I started to do that, I was like, oh, you're onto something here. And yeah, still every day, it's like my religion. It's like my morning prayer. I've got to. It doesn't matter what else is going on. I've got to future pace, and I've got to set an intention and remind myself of what I can do if I do feel an urge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Like, there's so many tools and it's like they work when you use them, and it's like, again, it's like you even notice the shift. It's like, okay, it's been 3 weeks, like, okay, things are feeling good. And then as soon as you started implementing the tools even more, it's like, wait, like things are actually getting so good, and that's why I always say, like, action, implementation, like learning information is not enough. Like, you need to be that action taker. And that was you throughout this entire process. Like, even living, so far away from each other, like you still showed up when you were able to, in terms of the time differences, you still showed up. And I'm just so proud of you. Like, you've come so far. And what are you up to now? What even have you been able to do? Like, even like this past week or these past few weeks, now that you're like just feeling free with food and not so like in your head obsessive about food and calories.
So the past 2 weeks have been a bit funny. So last week I was actually really sick, like really, really ill. I have had quite a tough time of it the last few weeks. I've moved. I had like a beautiful home that was all mine. I had my routine, I had structure, I had a gym and a yoga studio that I loved, and I gave all that up to move. I've moved back in with my parents. I've given up my privacy for this dream job. And then I've got here and I've been like, oh, have I done the right thing? So my head's been a bit all over the place, and I felt the urge a lot, and I have struggled a little bit, but I've been using my tools, and I've reminded myself that, like, this is exactly what we practice for. And if you don't, I realize that my past life was safe and it was known and it was my own little bubble, but that's not really any way to live. And what you've done is you've given me the tools to be exposed to these uncomfortable situations, and to have doubts and to have questions and to face them and know that I can handle them, and that I don't need to just binge as soon as I don't get my way. As soon as I feel some frustration, my first instinct would have to be to turn to the fridge, and that's huge. So now, obviously, it's coming up to Christmas. I am taking a lot of time for myself. I'm practicing a lot of yoga at home. I've been doing a lot of Kundalini. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've heard of this
Yeah.
yoga.
So good.
Just helping. So I'm sort of pairing that with the future pacing in the morning. And honestly, I feel unstoppable when I've finished it up.
Oh,
yeah, I just trying to slow down and um seek the joy. I remember like when we first really started speaking, you were like, you don't have enough joy in your life. Like, what do you do for pleasure? So I'm really trying to focus on that.
Oh,
Which, yeah, like it's not perfect, and some days it's messy, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
so good. So good. Oh, I love that. And like you said, like you could have been at your old home and been comfortable and been the same thing, but that's not life. Like, how about when you go on vacation? How about when you go on holiday? How about when you do this? Like, you need to expose yourself for those like uncomfortable, unfamiliar locations and remind yourself, like you said, you have the tools, you know how to navigate things. You're a different human, maybe in a different environment, but like you have changed, like, yeah, the environment's going to be new and you've changed. So, like, you can handle these situations. And the fact that you're still utilizing like the tools and stuff, like it's so incredible to see. So, oh, I'm so glad. And don't forget to keep adding more joy. You can never have enough joy in your life. Like that's just those little special moments. It just makes a huge difference.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, I
I'm
love that.
just so grateful.
Hmm. Well,
I
thank
would
you.
so.
Honestly, just like thank you for leading yourself and for being courageous, because you did the work. Like, yeah, I gave you the tools, but like you showed up, you were committed, you implemented, like you needed to show up in order to get to where you are.
Thank you.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I'll be clear, the only reason that I'm not still in the program is because of I'm trying to save money, but otherwise I would still like it's 100% I would be in there. So watch this space, I might be back.
Yeah, for sure. We'd love to have you back. It's always great to just have you in the community, like it's just the community aspect is so important. It's like even if you don't have questions, it's just like staying plugged in and staying connected. Like you said, like that momentum piece, like it really does make a huge difference. So you're welcome back anytime, that. Um,
Thank you so much.
any final last things that you feel you want to share?
I don't know, I don't I think you do know, but just like I don't know, it's such a huge thing, when you touch someone's life in this way and you change their lives for the better. And like I know how great I feel about it and how grateful I am. So it's just yeah, you must have so many people that feel the same way, and that's such a huge thing. That's not something that I don't know. It's not something that you should be modest about. You should be. I don't know. Yeah, just you've changed my life, and yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that means a lot. But you've also changed my life, because when you allowed me to change your life, like I'm literally glowing and I'm so happy just like seeing you experience the progress that you've made, because I've been there. I know when somebody's changed my life, and it's like now the fact that I'm changing other people's lives, like it just means so much to me. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for being here. Like I just so appreciate you. Um, and I appreciate you just being so vulnerable and so open. And, even if few people listen to this and they just like hear your words of encouragement and hear that you went first and you took that step, and like, wow, like if she can do it, like I can do it. Like that's going to change a lot of people's lives and give people hope. So thanks, Pam. I so appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll definitely stay in touch. You're welcome in the community anytime, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Thank you, and have a lovely Christmas.
Yes, you too. Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas. All the best. Bye.
Bye.